Darkest greetings, horror, sci-fi, and Brian De Palma fans out there. We got another director-specific episode today on horror, sci-fi, and beyond. One Mr. Brian De Palma, one of the least recognized members of the new Hollywood movement because he doesn't get talked about a lot compared to Spielberg and Lucas and Scorsese and Coppola. And with me tonight to talk about some De Palma is Mr. Jackson Harbor. How's it going, man?
Woo! It's all right. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Really looking forward to talk about some De Palma. And with me to talk about these De Palma movies is we got Jackson's friend Emma James. How's it going?
Hi, doing great. Just watched both of these movies again today, so
Nice.
excited.
And the two movies that we're doing today is Dress to Kill from 1980 and The Blowout from 1981. So they're apart from each other. So before we get into the actual movies, let's go around the room and talk about our relationship with De Palma. Like just kind of talk about like different experiences you had with them. And I'll start with you, Emma. What's your experience with De Palma?
Well, I've seen about half of his features at this point, and I for sure would say I'm a big fan of almost everything that I have seen by him. My favorite, one of my all-time favorite films in general would have to be Carrie. A story that really resonates with me for a lot of reasons. Brilliantly told. I think it's a totally perfect film. And then Phantom of the Paradise up there for sure.
Ooh, I want to see that. That looks like right up my alley.
The only De Palma I've seen that I did not like so far was his 2019 film Domino. And he disowned that one, I believe, because he was caught up with some producers overseas. It was a weird deal. The movie got hacked to pieces, kind of like that Paul Schrader film, Dying of the Light. So Domino kind of sucks, but other than that,
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. That's interesting. What about you, Jackson? What's your relationship with De Palma?
Well, before I get to De Palma, I would like to talk about Emma for a second because Emma and I have been friends for years. Like we were friends back, and I've referenced this before, back when there used to be like the IMDb message boards. And we started talking, and Emma, I bow to her knowledge on film at all times.
Yeah, like even before we recorded this, like
Yeah,
we're talking about some movies and like
no,
your knowledge is crazy. Like people think that I love movies way too much. Like they haven't talked to you yet.
Yeah, and since it's Emma's first appearance on Horror, Sci-fi, and Beyond, it should be noted she loves more movies more than maybe anyone I've ever met.
Yeah, more than me, you, and Eric White combined. It's
yeah. So, Emma, my hat's off to you.
Aww.
When it comes to De Palma, I am sort of limited. I've seen his stuff here and there. I've seen The Untouchables and The Black Dahlia, and I've seen the two movies we're talking about today, Carrie, maybe a couple of other ones. I'm not sure. Impossible. Yeah, Mission Impossible. I've never seen some of the other big ones. I've never seen Scarface.
Oh, really? That's a classic, man.
I have no interest in Scarface.
Well, you don't like gangster stuff.
No, I don't like gangster stuff, and I don't like all the guys I've met with Scarface posters on their walls.
That's funny.
So, no, De Palma is kind of an enigma to me because sometimes I really like his stuff, and sometimes I'm just like, no, thank you.
Right.
But these two movies that we're talking about today, these are interesting. I'm eager to get into this conversation.
Yeah, especially the second one, Blowout, because I
that's my favorite. No spoilers, but that's my favorite.
Yeah, that movie. That movie was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mention it when I was talking about De Palma because I didn't want to give the game plan away, but yeah, Blowout is a masterpiece for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. My relationship with De Palma is when I first started to really get into filmmaking, and learning about because for Christmas I got the Star Wars original trilogy box set and it had a special feature about the making of that trilogy. And they were kind of talking about like Hollywood at that time in the late 60s, early 70s. And they were talking about like the new Hollywood movement with George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, and of course Brian De Palma. And of course I knew Spielberg and Lucas, but all the other ones I didn't know. And but I since learned about them. De Palma's been a weird one because I don't hear him get talked about a whole lot for whatever
reason. And he's
reason.
made so many movies.
Like iconic movies
tons
too.
Of movies, yeah.
Yeah, Harry, Mission Impossible, Scarface, like these are iconic movies.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's just kind of a weird thing. Before these
Emma, what were you about to say?
Oh, I should say he's actually more appreciated in like really like art house cinephile circles. Like in France, they love the guy in France. He's a big deal over there.
Okay, I can see that.
Like Jerry Lewis, although a very different type of filmmaker. But yeah, the French love them some De Palma. I think it's how stylized his films are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tarantino is a huge De Palma fan. Like he basically said in the interview with Eli Roth that the reason why he likes De Palma he's very Hitchcockian, but 20 or 30 years later. He's very modern. Like pretty much anything that was limited to Hitchcock for his time, like he goes full force.
Yeah.
Yes.
If Hitchcock had been allowed to go full pervert mode, he would have made.
Pervert mode is going to come up a lot in this episode.
Yeah, that's a whole other worm that I'm not going to open when it comes to Hitchcock. I love the guy as a filmmaker, but some of that stuff that I've heard about. Cool. Let's get down to the first movie. With Dress to Kill, and here's the plot summary according to IMDb. A mysterious blonde woman kills one of her psychologist patients, and then goes after a high-class call girl who witnessed the murder. And I'll start with you, Jackson. What are your overall thoughts about this movie? We reached some rough waters with this one.
This movie is very stylish, but trash. It is lurid trash. Like I don't know how best to describe it other than it being that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like classy trash to a extent.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically if Hitchcock made like a Friday the 13th movie or something like that, like one of those real cheesy like slasher movies.
I mean, it basically is. It's like if Psycho was made 20 years later. Yeah.
It has some giallo sensibilities about it, the style for sure. It's a total like high class Euro trash type film.
Maybe that's why the French like him so much. Yeah, there's some stuff over there that they cannot do. or that we can't, that they do that we cannot do, or is frowned
Right.
upon here,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
interesting. What about you, Emma? What is your overall thoughts about this movie?
Well, the one time I had seen it was back in like 2018 or 19, prior to transitioning, and I recall loving it, but as I watched it again today, I noticed it for sure is a bit more pointed in a negative way towards
Mhm.
trans issues than I had realized.
Hmm.
But I still feel like the film has a lot of technical merit. It's
Mhm.
very beautiful visually. I do like the performances. I think the decision, we're doing spoilers, right? Are we doing
Oh
spoilers?
yeah, yeah, we're always spoiled.
I think the
Yeah.
decision, like 30 minutes into this movie, kill off Kate, the ostensible protagonist played by Angie Dickinson. I think that was a brilliant decision.
Mm.
It's so sudden, the elevator scene, you're not expecting it at all. She dies before Marion Crane did in like Psych.
Right.
At least Marion makes it to like the halfway point.
Right.
De Palma's like 30 minutes in. Fuck
We get
it.
to know Marion a little bit at least.
Yeah.
I think you get to know Kate too,
Mhm.
at least in a superficial way. You get to know her at least as much as you get to know Marion.
We know
But
Yeah.
yeah.
she's very unhappy in her marriage. She's kind of looking to get a little something going on the side, and she does. And talk about having a rough day. This woman finds out she has VD, right? Just contracted VD from this guy she slept with right before she gets murdered in the
Right.
elevator leaving his
Oh,
place.
you know what was funny? Well, not funny as in haha, but like interesting. Is I thought the guy was raping her in the limo at first. I'm like, this music is way too calm. It was way too angelic for this kind of scene.
Oh no, she was into that, but the
Yeah.
opening scene of the movie is her weird, very slow-mo,
Mhm.
male gazy rape fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard an interesting, and I guess we're going into deep dive at this point. Um, I heard an interesting take on that opening shower scene where because she's pleasuring herself, um, she's being technically being punished for it, and that's kind of part of the, I guess, sort of the theme of the movie in a weird way. Whether or not you agree with that, which I don't at all.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
I don't
I don't know
agree
if
with
it's really
that.
smart enough to have themes.
Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
it is basically a Psycho ripoff down to like
Right.
the character like explaining this person's condition. And I get from 1960, you had to explain
Well,
Norman Bates and his whole deal because that was just so taboo at the time. But like, come on, like I think people are a little bit more aware of this topic a bit. And if you've seen Psycho, you kind of know like that deal a little bit.
I will say Psycho as a trans woman doesn't bother me the least bit. I
Mm,
absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites because it's based on a real guy. I mean, Ed
yeah.
Gein is the inspiration for Norman Bates.
Hmm.
And he
Mm,
was like, he literally did that, the whole mother thing, dress up,
mm,
maybe a little bit of autogynephilia, I don't know. But yeah, Psycho is such like one of the great masterpieces of cinema.
mm,
And yeah, Dress to Kill, you could, if you're being I like this movie, I will
mm.
say that. But if you're being really harsh on it, you could kind of say it's We Have Psycho at Home.
Right. Yeah, I think the thing that's kind of lessens the blow the whole Norman Bates thing compared to Michael Caine in this movie or like a Buffalo Bill is like Norman kind of like earns your sympathy. Like he's a very sympathetic character, and plus he was already pretty messed up in the head. Like he thought his
Yeah.
mom was way more controlling than he actually probably was, and that's more even more self evident in the Bates Motel television program. So he was kind of filling the void that he caused a little bit.
Yeah.
But here, yeah, this character is completely villainized. And I can definitely see why the trans community would have a problem with that, and I kind of agree with them.
Yeah. Psycho 2, I'm not just going on a tangent here, but Psycho 2 is one of the best horror sequels.
Oh, absolutely.
Really
Nobody
brilliant
talks.
I've never
film.
seen it.
Like Norman is the good guy now. Like you feel for him. He's being sabotaged. Like he's mentally stable now, but people are purposely fucking with his mental health,
Oh
trying to
yeah,
get him
sure.
killer again. It's a very tragic film.
Mm-hmm.
It was mentioned by Kirby in Scream 6 as one of her favorite horror movies. So shout out to Kirby, my favorite Scream character.
She's mine too.
Yeah, when her and that other chick was debating like horror movies, and she's like, what's the most underrated horror sequel? Psycho 2. I'm like, yeah, that's my girl, Kirby.
I would say the most underrated horror sequel is Zombies Halloween 2.
Really?
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh,
Such a masterpiece.
God.
This is why I wanted Emma on the show, because Emma is a fellow H2 defender.
Yes.
Not get me started on the first Rob Zombie.
All right, we should probably talk more about Dress to Kill.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? What else? What are some things you do like about this movie? Like what's a standout scene to you?
Who? Me or Emma?
Either.
I think, like I said, I think the elevator scene is pretty brilliantly done.
Mm-hmm.
It's
right.
so sudden. It's very well shot. You don't get a clear look at this killer blonde woman at all. It's, that's a very Hitchcockian scene.
Oh yeah. I really love the voicemail scene, the first one, when he's listening to the voicemail of one of his supposed patients.
See, I hate that because it makes no sense.
Yeah, why?
I mean,
he left himself a message.
I get that it's like in his mind or whatever. And I say his because I don't think this is a real trans woman.
Yeah.
Because this is just like a fictional whatever.
Yeah. The attitudes towards that community.
But that scene makes no sense.
And
in a movie that very little makes sense. There's so little that makes sense in this movie.
Yeah. My psycho autogynephile alter ego is just going to leave me a voicemail. Sure. As one does.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in the moment I really liked that. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Because I knew the twist at the end of the movie that he was with this killer the entire time.
Right.
So I thought that was
honestly, the first time I saw it, the twist kind of surprised me. I mean, when you watch it again, it's not surprising at all. But
right.
I mean, not just because you've seen it before, but because like you can just tell it's Michael Caine in a blonde wig and sunglasses for the whole movie.
Yeah,
but
I started watching The Dark Knight thoroughly again, and seeing him in that movie is so weird now after seeing this.
Michael Caine's done a lot of trashy movies.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's hard for me to picture him in a trashy movie like this because to me he's Michael Caine.
So there's an interesting story about Michael Caine, and I hope I'm getting the details of this right. He was in one of the Jaws sequels. I believe it was Jaws the Revenge. And someone was like, this movie is such a piece of shit. Why were you in that? And he's like, well, I've never seen Jaws the Revenge, but I love the yacht it bought.
Yeah. I've heard that too.
Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, maybe he's like acting that much that he just picks any role, like a Nicolas Cage or a Sam Jackson kind of thing.
He said once that because he came from a very poor, humble upbringing, he felt like turning down offers for work was wrong. He would accept pretty much any offer he was given.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The weird thing I heard about this movie in regards to that character is it was originally offered to Sean Connery.
Oh my God.
And he actually wanted to do it, but he was doing something else at the time and couldn't.
Okay.
That doesn't seem quite true to me because I don't feel like Sean Connery would want to play this character.
I gotta say,
But maybe he would.
I want to live in an alternate universe where Sean Connery was this terrifying murder tranny. I really
God.
am curious about that now.
Jeez.
I mean, so do I. I mean, at the time, what was he doing? Like Zardoz and stuff?
Yeah.
So
I mean, Zardoz is pretty great. I love Zardoz. I love John Borman.
Yeah,
I
I
love
think
John
this
Borman too.
actually
So.
I think this was before Never Say Never Again, the unofficial Bond movie.
Yeah, because that was the 80s as well.
Yeah. And that's the one Bond movie I have not seen is that.
Okay. What do y'all think of the actual investigation in this movie with
Oh, with the son trying to figure out what's going on.
Peter and his clocking the times it takes people to leave the doctor's office, and he sets up his camera to go off every 4 seconds and all of this stuff.
So I think the first 30 minutes or so of the film are fantastic. I think up to and including Kate's murder, before any of the weird trans shit, before the police procedural of it, any of that comes in, I think it's a really excellent De Palma film up to that point. But then, like, beyond, the obvious trans shit, I have structural and pacing issues with the second and third acts of this film.
Yeah.
Investigation stuff, it's a little dry, it's a little boring. It's just not what I want to be watching. Really anytime that after that Nancy Allen is not on screen, because I think she's so good in this, it's just kind of taking away from Nancy Allen. I would rather be watching her.
Oh, I want to talk about Nancy Allen. The only other thing I've seen her in, or I know I've seen her in, was Carrie, obviously, and I thought she was pretty decent. She was in RoboCop with the first one, right? I did not know that.
She's the partner in RoboCop.
Yeah, that's the
really. I did not know
that's
that.
her.
I've seen RoboCop like once, but
okay.
Cool.
Maybe we should do an episode on that.
Yeah, well, we're already doing one for Terminator in May. I'm so excited for. I did not like her acting in this movie. I thought she was pretty terrible up until the part when she goes to Malcolm King's office and tries to seduce him, because her character in the movie is acting.
Right.
He's trying to get information about this guy.
I like her, but I'm also a total simp for attractive, high-class call girl type women, I guess. So, I don't know. I plead the fifth here, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with Drew on this. Like, I think her performance in this movie is very flat, with the exception of that scene.
You're not flat.
I think it's flat. I think it's kind of flat up until that scene.
She, I think her clients would attest to the fact that she's not flat.
Okay, fair.
I mean, that's
okay.
True.
I think her performance is kind of boring up until that scene in Dr. Elliott's office towards the end.
I think the cops are boring. I think the cops are like the boring part of this movie, for sure. The procedural part of it doesn't work for me at all.
No, it's pretty bad.
But I will say, and I'm opening a whole new can of worms, I guess, here. I like this movie overall still significantly more than The Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I know we talked about that. To me, Silence of the Lambs is one of those things like the Bond movie. Yes, it's problematic, but I can overlook it for everything else in the movie.
For me, it's not even everything else. I mean, yeah, Anthony Hopkins is great. Jodie Foster, she's good. She's done better, but she's good in it. But again, it's just like it's not really even a horror film to me. It's this police procedural. It's like a proto CSI proto 7 thing, except 7 is so much better. But Yeah,
That's debatable because both of them are kind of in my top five thrillers
for
list.
me, my Hannibal Lecter movie is Manhunter.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one.
See, I don't really like Manhunter, but I love Silence of the Lambs.
Oh no, you said Manhunter. That's not the one I've seen. I've seen parts of Red Dragon, but that's confusing.
That's totally different.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that. I haven't seen Ridley Scott's film, but I love Manhunter. I love Michael Mann in general.
Mm, that's
Great
cool.
director.
I
Um,
don't get Michael Mann. I don't get him.
yeah.
I don't get the appeal. I don't get it.
Now speaking of Hitchcock or ripping off Hitchcock, that museum scene is like an ode.
That's Vertigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that scene too. I especially where she drops the glove and like
Mm.
she goes up to him and then she's like, nope, nope, I can't take it. And then she finds his taxi as he's leaving, and she's like, okay, I'm DTF.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that scene out on the steps because it whips past her and you see Dr. Elliot dressed as the killer,
mm,
like just behind her a couple
right.
times, like just going through the background. That's something I didn't notice the first
Mm.
time I saw the movie, but when I've rewatched it, I noticed it and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like a Tyler Durden kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, goes back to Fincher. Speaking of him again.
Love Fincher so much.
Oh yeah, he's in my top three favorite. I adore that man. His
Fincher,
filmmaking.
yes, I could watch Fight Club anytime. Social Network, Gone Girl, Seven. Love the guy.
My
Yeah.
personal favorite Fincher is Zodiac. That's one I can watch all the time.
Zodiac is really terrific. Yeah, that's a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's in my top three, like
Bunch.
30 favorite movies. I love that movie so much.
I love The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I love Mank, honestly.
I haven't seen Girl like with the Dragon Tattoo or Mank.
Mank got a lot of hate, but
Really?
I thought it was a terrific. I thought it was so much more fun and livelier than the average biopic. It was
Okay.
very much like an elevated biopic, stylistically gorgeous, one of the best
Mhm.
uses of black and white in modern cinema, and of course
Mm.
Gary Oldman ate. I I like Mank a lot.
Oh, okay. That's cool. It just didn't appeal to me. I don't know. I might have. I tried watching Citizen Kane. I respect the hell out of it as far as what it did for cinema. It's just not for me.
Citizen Kane takes a few viewings to
Mm,
really settle in if you're watching it with really modern eyes. But
okay.
yeah.
I think it's a perfect movie, but it's also not. I mean, it's an easy 5-star film, but it's not in my personal top 100. It's not even my favorite Orson Welles.
Yeah, same.
My favorite Orson Welles is probably Touch of Evil.
I still need to watch that. I recorded it off the classic movie channel, and it ended up recording like partly through the movie. So I didn't. So I'm like, I'm not gonna watch it if I can't watch it from beginning to end. Which kind
F
of
for
sucks.
fake right here. F for fake.
That's a good one. I love
um,
the lady from Shanghai.
I don't like that one.
I'm assuming these are all still Orson Welles
It's
movies.
Orson Welles still. Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with them. What's funny is George Lucas originally wanted him to voice Darth Vader, but he thought
Yeah.
at the time his voice would have been too recognizable, so he got James Earl Jones instead.
Yeah.
I mean, it turned into a pretty lucrative career for James Earl Jones.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Darth Vader
yeah.
and Lion King. He did pretty well.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
episode of The Big Bang Theory where he becomes friends with Sheldon and then
Oh my
Sheldon
god.
like
I
driving
love
him
that episode.
crazy.
Yeah, when he goes up to him at the restaurant and he's like, and Jones lowers down the menu. He's like, "You like Star Wars, right?" And then Sheldon just shakes his head, and he's like, I was in other movies, right? And then Sheldon shakes his head again, but that doesn't matter to you. And he shakes his head now. He's like, "Come over here. Guess what? I like Star Wars too." I thought that was so funny, dude. That'll totally be me for sure. Um, So back to Direct to Kill. What else do you want to talk about this movie?
I
I
don't
think
know. Go ahead.
for me, the two scenes immediately after Elliot is thwarted in trying to kill I forget her name, but Nancy Allen's character. Liz, that's it. Yeah, after he's thwarted trying to kill Liz, he stopped. The two scenes after that are the two worst scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah.
You've got the cops explaining the psychology behind this, and I think Brian De Palma is probably a good dude. I have no reason to believe he's transphobic. I've seen some recent comments
Mm-hmm.
he's made in the years since regarding this film. So I'm not saying like Brian De Palma is transphobic. I don't think that, and I don't think Jonathan Demme is either. I'll say that.
Yeah,
But
he basically came out and said like I regret it
yeah,
portraying Buffalo Bill that way.
but I will say these two scenes are pretty ghastly. Just total turf rhetoric through and
Mm-hmm.
through. Like the cop, I wrote down a direct dialogue exchange. Liz says, "What's wrong with that guy anyway?" And the cop's like, "He was a transsexual." Like that's not what's wrong with him. I mean, the fact that he's a psycho murderer is what's wrong with him. And correlating those things is kind of
Mm-hmm.
wild, but it just goes into the whole kind of perpetuated throughout pop culture myth of like the scary, threatening trans woman. I will
Yeah.
say, I am not throwing Sleepaway Camp into that bus. I actually love the ending of Sleepaway Camp. I mean, Under the Bus. I
Mm-hmm.
love the ending of Sleepaway Camp. It's a good twist. It's not really transphobic. It's just weird. And you've got that iconic, terrifying final shot with Felissa Rose at the end of the film. I like Sleepaway Camp. It's not the best slasher, but the twist is the best part of the movie.
Oh
I
yeah, for
endorse.
sure.
I
Yeah.
endorse.
Yeah, I'm totally with you with that, Emma. I think, and I don't want to get too deep into politics because I just don't want people to attack us, and I don't want to deal with that whole thing. But I agree with you. I think that's ridiculous how villainized the LGBTQ plus community is getting. And I think that's just ridiculous, and it didn't help with movies like this that kind of
I
mess
will
up the
say
people's
though,
perception.
I doubt anybody. I mean, other than film buffs, I doubt anybody is really watching this today.
Right.
I don't think Dress to Kill is like a threat to the trans community.
Yeah.
I don't think it's relevant enough to do any harm.
Yeah,
I
well, I
mean,
meant more movies. I kind of meant movies more in this vein, like Dress to Kill or like Silence of the Lambs, because that's more popular.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think that.
that's one of my beefs, I guess, with Silence of the Lambs. Not just the film itself, but the fact that it's so popular. It was a
Mm,
huge box office hit, won all the Oscars. It
mm,
became like Buffalo Bill became like the public representation of trans women,
yeah.
and it's just this revolting autogynephile caricature.
Mm. I
Okay.
mean,
If I can just mount a small rebuttal on Silence of the Lambs, I don't think that movie is transphobic as much as Dress to Kill is,
mm-hmm.
because they say in the movie that Buffalo Bill is not a trans person.
Right, that is true.
I agree.
Buffalo Bill is a misogynist who is also psychotic and deluded
Right.
and is doing this because he hates women so much.
Mm,
I agree. I agree mostly with that. I have a lot of issues with Lambs as a film, like I said
mm,
earlier, that have nothing to do with Buffalo Bill. I do have a big issue with
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill, but I think it's an overrated movie in general. And granted, it's been a long time.
Fair.
I should rewatch it. I will, because I mean, Jonathan Demme, great overall track record there.
Mm-hmm.
Stop Making Sense.
Yeah. That's one of the best ones.
He got something wild. I'm not looking
Yeah.
at TV right now. I'm just trying to think off the top of my
right.
head. Oh, Rachel Getting Married.
Rachel Getting Married is amazing.
That's
I did not like that movie. I thought Hathaway was great. It was so freaking slow. You had 20-minute sequences of like
yeah.
the dinner scene, them
I love
hanging
the
out.
slowness. I love that you're just watching these people dance to the wedding band for like 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah,
I like it.
I didn't like it. But I mean, to each his own. If you like a movie or a piece of art, then that's
Right.
all you in.
Unsurprisingly, then, I'm one of the people who's fine with Gene Thielman being considered the greatest film.
But here's the thing, like, I love the opening of The Godfather at the wedding. That's like a 30-minute sequence. I'm fine with
Right.
that.
Deer Hunter's the same way. Like that has like a whole
Hunter,
hour of a wedding.
Michael Cimino, huge fan, huge fan. Heaven's Gate all day.
But yeah, anyways, I guess this is can include our Wreck to Kill conversation. I think we kind of addressed everything we
Yeah,
wanted.
we have a much better movie to get to.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the only other thing I don't like about this movie, other than it's being pretty transphobic, weirdly so, is the whole them ripping off Psycho at the end with them trying to explain
Yeah.
his character's issues.
And then there's a whole other scene where it's like a dream sequence that means nothing.
Yeah, that's the other scene I was getting at. It's like it's not that scene's not offensive or anything. It's just dumb. Like she imagines being murdered by him for no reason. It's just like her nightmare. And then Peter, Kate's son, is there. I guess he lives with her now, and she's like attacking him because she thinks she's still in her nightmare. It's kind of silly. It's not the best ending. I would have maybe ended the movie like on just him being caught. But
Right.
for as much as we've dissed it, I will say I do like Dress to Kill. I'm glad I own the Criterion. It's a good release. It's a good restoration. I'm sure the bonus features are good because it's Criterion. I do like the movie overall.
Yeah, I actually just bought the Blu-ray because it went off the streaming right before I was planning on talking about this movie. So I'm like, okay, I'll just get the DVD for like less than $10. It walked that way. I didn't end up having to watch it with my earbuds and on my TV because of the sexual nature of the movie. The next movie wasn't too bad. There was only maybe like a couple parts I have to fast forward through because I actually do live with my mom, and so I don't want to overhear certain things going on.
Yeah, I'm staying with my mom right now, actually, just for the upcoming Easter holiday. And I watched Dress to Kill when she was at work.
But anyways, you want to get to the favorite part and least favorite part, and I'll start with you, Emma. What is your favorite part?
As I've said, elevator scene, huge fan, love the way it's done. Classic De Palma moment. Very Hitchcockian, but very the only way that scene could be more Brian De Palma is if it was in split screen.
Right.
Which there's not really any split screen that I recall in Dress to Kill. And that's kind of one of his big trademarks, but I don't recall any.
And then what is your least favorite part?
Just the general attitude towards trans women. And like I said, I do not think I think it's dumb rather than intentionally hateful. I don't think there was any kind of negative agenda. I don't think De Palma's a bad guy at all. But it's dumb in like a potentially harmful if people took it seriously way.
Yeah, I didn't feel like De Palma, he's a master at filmmaking. But I feel like he focused too much on the actual filmmaking part of it, and then instead of really focusing on like how to portray this issue. But again, this does not make this an excuse. But you got to remember, it was a different time when this came out.
I will say if it was a little smarter about it, I would not object to the basic reveal with Elliot's character. I would not object to that character on principle. It's poorly done.
Yeah, and I just want to set the record straight. When I said that it was just the time period, I'm not saying that's okay at all. Like I'm gonna set that record straight. It's just unfortunate that we had certain attitudes back in the day, and it sucks.
Well, this came out the same year as the extremely controversial gay male film, William Friedkin's Cruising.
Oh yeah.
Cruising is very hotly debated. Some gays love it, some hate it.
Mhm.
I think it's phenomenal. I think Cruising is a brilliant film.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got it on my shelf back here, the Arrow special edition.
Mhm.
Friedkin in general, rest in peace, genius.
Yeah, and shout
Exorcist is
out to
brilliant.
my Exorcist review that I did with Mr. Reed Lackey from the Fear of God podcast, because we had a really awesome conversation about that movie, and that's his favorite movie of all time.
Oh, speaking of which, like, if you want to hear more of me and Drew, we're on the latest Fear of God talking about Megan.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
I love
So,
Megan.
Megan was awesome.
yeah.
So I'll go to you, Jackson. What is your favorite part and least favorite part?
Okay, my favorite part of this movie is such a small moment, but it's awesome. So it's during the subway scene where the gang of men is chasing Liz, and she gets on the subway and she's talking to the cop, and she's like, "This gang of punks, they're chasing me. They're right out there." And the cop sticks his head out the subway door, and you see a little ways down the subway, and it's just this old lady getting on the subway.
That's
It makes me laugh so hard. I just love it. That's my favorite part. Least favorite part, this movie's just kind of boring. Like, I just am not into it the whole time. Like, certain scenes are really good, but for the most part, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna go my favorite
Navigation is
part.
boring.
I'm
Hmm?
gonna go my favorite part. Um, I know we critique this part, but I love the voicemail scenes. I think that was real kind of interesting to kind of build like suspicion a bit. My least favorite part, I went more with Kate and Peter relationship, except beside that one scene.
Hmm.
Like I thought that was kind of it was kind of let down. I kind of wanted, and it seemed like she really did love Peter. It wasn't that, it wasn't like she was neglectful. And she wanted him to actually go out in the world and not, be stuck with his experiments and, different like technological toys or whatnot.
Right.
I just wanted like another scene or two with both of them.
Hmm.
There's that weird moment at the end where he kind of jokes to Peter, kind of jokes to Liz, or is he joking that he's got an idea for a science experiment now? He could build a woman out of himself. It's kind
Wow.
of
Yeah.
weird.
Weird
A
science.
weird scene.
Well, that whole
That's a problematic 80s movie that I love. I love weird.
I still haven't seen that movie. I probably should because we have an
It's
Oscar winner.
stupid, but it's fun.
Yeah,
Anthony
well,
Michael Hall in the 80s, it's usually a good time.
yeah. Speaking of Anthony Michael Hall, shout out to our Halloween David Gordon Greenfieldy.
Oh, okay.
Um, but
Shout out to the first David Gordon Green Halloween.
what was that?
I said shout out to just the first David Gordon Green Halloween.
I like all three of them, honestly.
I mean, shout out to Halloween Ends, which is my favorite film in that whole franchise.
Really, yeah, I know you like that movie. I want to love it, but like I said, they could have done that situation way better. But then I want to draw on that. Just listen to our episode.
I fucking hated Corey. I hated Corey so much.
Oh, I love Corey. Corey
Especially
was awesome.
the scene where Michael Myers, the shape, like the ultimate villain in horror, is just riding bitch on an emo teenager's motorcycle. This is this is worse than the Kung Fu Buster Rhymes scene in Halloween Resurrection.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Emma, Drew literally made a whole fan film
Yes,
addressing this.
yes. I'm gonna send you a link to that because it was awesome. With led me to make a start working on a Scream fan film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got in that horror fan film mood. Real quick before we move on to the next film, what is your rating for this movie out of 5?
Ooh, you got a
Oh,
call on somebody.
yeah. Emma, you go.
I was waiting my turn. 3.5 out of 5. I
Yeah.
like more than I dislike.
Mm,
It's so stylish visually. It is very De Palma in that regard. Very high quality production values, cinematography especially,
mm.
good score. I even though it's really embarrassingly retrograde regarding trends, identity, like I said, I still like this movie overall.
Okay. That's a fair score. What about you, Jackson?
It's like a 2.5.
Okay.
It there are some things I like about it, but overall I'm just not that engaged with it when I watch it.
Yeah, I got ya.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna go a 3. Um, just because there were some interesting ways that he built suspense and some real cool artistic kind of, cinematic things that he was doing, but that whole trans thing was how he handled that was just kind of it felt very distasteful, in my opinion, compared to
Mm.
what you were talking about, Jackson, with the Silence of the Land, where they kind of maybe addressed the issue a little bit more smartly or more intelligently. Um, I don't
It's,
know.
it's interesting that I gave it the highest score. I'm
Okay.
I'm canceled now. I'm gonna be like the new topic on trans Twitter,
Oh God. Um, yeah. Well,
which is a fucking cesspool, by the way.
yeah. Um,
Worst chronically online people.
yeah, and just to let you guys know, I know we're talking about some very testy topics right now with the whole trans issue. Um, I get freedom of speech. We can have civil debates in the comments, but if anybody's bigoted, yeah, your comments being deleted and you're off of this platform or off the
Hmm.
community because I'm not dealing with that. Like I have a zero bigotry tolerance level. But anyways, I just want to get that out of the way. Just be cool, guys. You ready for Blowout?
Yeah.
All right, in the plot summary for Blowout, according to the Internet Movie Database, is a movie sound recordist accidentally records the evidence that proves that a car accident was accidentally a murder and coincidentally finds himself in danger. And I'll start with you, Jackson. What's your quick thoughts about this movie?
Well, so when I first saw this movie, I had already seen Blow Up,
Mm.
which is the Antonioni film that it's loosely based on.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, that's also a really cool movie. And I recommend it to anyone. It's very different.
Mm.
It just has a different vibe. It's very European. Uh, and of course, this movie also takes a lot from Coppola's The Conversation, which is one of the great movies of the 70s. And so when I saw this movie, I didn't really expect much from it, but it won me over very quickly. It is so stylish. This is everything that Dress to Kill wants to be,
Mm.
but done so much more perfectly. So
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Emma? What is your quick thoughts?
Um, Blowout is just kind of a perfect movie. It does everything right. It justifies itself as being, some like inspired by Blow Up, but it goes in a different direction.
Mm.
mhm.
It's darker, it's meaner, it's more nihilistic for sure. It's very American,
Mm.
very, very American. The
Yeah.
um doesn't get much more patriotic than that. But yeah, God, it's an incredible film.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I fucking love this movie. This is really one of the greatest thrillers I've probably ever seen. Up there with Psycho and Seven.
Mhm.
Um, like this movie is incredible. Um, just the idea, like the pure concept of this movie is right up my alley. Because I love movies about movies, and it didn't lean
Yeah.
heavily into that part, but this whole idea that this guy works in the sound department for horror movies, and then he's outside capturing natural sounds, and he sees this car accident happen, and then it involves this, or it unravels into this bigger issue. What that was just so cool,
Yeah.
and it kind of gets a little kind of 70s conspiracy theory or
Kinda.
Oh, absolutely.
It goes whole hog into that.
Yeah,
It
this
kind of, to me, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
To me, the ending of this movie is so mean and so cynical. It feels like the death of the 70s conspiracy genre. It's like we took this to the tipping point, and now this is like the last word.
yeah, like
The
this
last
feels like,
scream.
yeah, this feels like
literally is, yeah.
it feels like Marathon Man, Chinatown.
It's safe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 3 days of
It's safe.
Conqueror. Which one?
I said, is it safe?
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Marathon Man.
Oh, yeah, that scene.
The dentist scene.
Oh god, ooh, I know that scene. I haven't seen Marathon Man, but I hate things that have to do with teeth and eyeballs.
Oh yeah, well, then Marathon Man's a rough watch in that.
Yeah.
Great
But,
film, though. Great film.
yeah, for sure. I love the opening of this film where it's a movie within a movie, like the POV slasher kind of thing, which is a total ode to Black Christmas.
Yeah, we talked about that when we
Mm.
talked about Black Christmas on this show. I referenced it. I wasn't sure if it was from this movie because I hadn't seen it in a while, but then I watched it again. I was like, oh yeah, this is totally the movie I was talking about.
Right. And then
Yeah.
I love this whole concept of them trying to find the perfect scream in this movie for that
It's
sour.
such a great through line.
Yeah.
And you don't realize what it's the through line of until you get to the end.
Which
is Nancy Allen's whole character.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Cause I'm she uses they uses her scream, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like she had the perfect scream for the
That's
film.
the whole
Her dying
point.
scream.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm kind of tired. I just got off of work like a couple hours ago.
It's just a bleak, nasty ending. I love it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I did remember from the ending, like the sad music and like John Travolta just kind of slocking around, like all sad, which really got to me.
Yeah. No, it's tragic and it's beautiful and it's cynical and it's nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If he just let her go on that train and not try to bother her, like none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
And I love how every other movie that this guy worked on had the word blood in it, like Bloodbath, Bloodbath 2, Bad Day at Blood Beach, and Bodillo of Blood.
I would
That's
definitely
funny.
watch Bad Day at Blood Beach. That sounds like a Roger Corman type joint. I would be all over that.
Oh, me too. That'd be awesome.
I mean, that's what this movie is evoking, right? Like
Yeah.
the whole the guy that he works for is supposed to be like a Roger Corman type.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
they mention it. They've done 5 movies in 2 years.
Yeah, it's just like they just make crappy movies. The only thing that we'll use to draw an audience is a lot of gory kills and hot women.
Yeah. And yet the whole reason that he's out, by that bridge at night is because the guy is like, we need some new sound effects. You're just using the same ones over and over again.
Right.
So go out and get me some new sounds. And he goes out there and gets pulled into this whole mess that he never could have foreseen.
Yeah, and I really love that scene when Travolta's putting together the sound clips.
So great.
Well, this is before he goes outside to get the sound, but he's putting together the sound clips, which is a little bit scene.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, and he learned about the the politician and the this little celebration is about to come up.
Right.
And I
Oh,
love how
yeah,
it's
the
like this,
split screen, the opening credits. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Well, all the close up, them putting together the sound, it reminded me of the heroin scene from Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
because
can see that.
and
Yeah.
that's Tarantino. And like I said, Tarantino's a huge De Palma fan. So I would
Well, he
imagine.
specifically has mentioned this movie as being one of his desert island movies.
Oh yeah,
And he said
So,
if he could take 3 movies on a desert island,
yeah.
oh wow, is one of them.
yeah. I have to
Yeah.
think about that one because I don't know if that would necessarily be my top three favorite movies.
I
Because I
mean,
would,
no, but not for me, but
yeah,
for Tarantino, cool.
yeah.
I'm down.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I don't know if my top three movies of all time would be my desert island movies necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm taking Twin Peaks: The Return for sure. I got
really.
18 hours of my favorite thing ever.
That's cool. Um, what else I was gonna say? Oh yeah, and then that accident happened, and then in the hospital, one of Mick Ryan's like friend basically tells him to do a press conference lying about what happened and lying
Hmm.
because since cause this Mick Ryan guy, he's basically cheating on his wife with
Yeah.
Allen's character. And basically what his friend tells Travolta is what difference does it make to you? It'll make a world's difference to his family. So
Yeah.
not telling the truth and lying about what actually happened is more important than making his family feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's a very poignant line right there.
I mean, I know we don't like to get into politics on this show, and I
Mm,
won't, but I will just say that I feel like this is the way politics in general
mm,
works. It's the way it works now is all about this sort of image that you're projecting.
right.
And the truth is ancillary to that.
Mm,
It's not nearly as important. Uh, your policies aren't nearly as important as your quote unquote character. And people will do anything they can to put up this mode of character that really doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's this and again, not getting partisan, not getting specifically
Right.
about anybody, but it's this very reality show type farce we have now
Yeah.
in politics. It's like it's like politicians are influencers on social media,
Right.
and you're just competing to like see who's like the most the biggest influencer. It's
Mm-hmm.
not substantial, it's not policy. And I guess maybe De Palma already saw we were heading a little bit in that
Mm,
direction back
Yeah.
then.
yeah. Well, certainly John Carpenter was way ahead of his time when he made They Live, and look what we're going through now.
Yeah. Well, Brian De Palma was way ahead of John Carpenter's time when he made this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you saying that upkeeping image over truth reminded me of um the Fear of God's conversation about Scream 4 when it came to Jill. How basically she set up this whole ruse that made it seem like she was the victim of the movie
Mm-hmm.
or of this situation where she was really the killer. And Reed Delacey was kind of explaining that like now there's people out there that just do that. They hide the truth
Yeah.
in plain sight to uphold its image. And it's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, we all kind of do that. Like when you're, when I turn this camera on, or when I turn, this video on, um, I kind of put on a performance a little bit.
Right. We all do.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's just the balance of that, like how much of how much of that do you want to fabricate, and how much do you want to show the world the real you? Like it's really interesting. It's a really interesting kind of balance and tightrope.
It's kind of it's kind of like a curve, I guess, of like the levels of lying or portraying an image. Like maybe just not immediately dumping your worst flaws on somebody. It's just like that's just a good way to have social skills. That's just a good thing to do. Whereas, I mean, you could go the opposite end and very extreme and be like a Joe Paterno level cover up or something like that.
Yeah. And I'm honestly like, depending like what mood I'm in, like I'm much more animated when I'm with people than when I'm by myself. Like I'm generally a pretty quiet guy when I'm like home alone.
Home Alone.
Shout out to that episode. We're just sounding episodes out left and right. Well, I need more views because I'm not doing so good on that end right now. But yeah, that's really interesting, and I like the whole kind of investigation part of this movie. How, like I said, it kind of spins into this real kind of like conspiracy theory.
When I said that this movie does what Dressed to Kill was trying to do, but does it so much better, that's really what I'm talking about. Is the investigation in this movie is still done by not the cops. The cops aren't really doing anything.
Right.
It's done by just this guy who found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's very Die Hard if you think about it.
Yeah, but it seems so much more real, the investigation in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's fascinating. It's not like this film is perfectly paced. There are no moments where I find myself kind of drifting out of it, like I did a little bit in like the middle segment of Dress to Kill. It's from beginning to end, it hooks you in. You've got this great, very Brian De Palma opening scene with young women. You know it's a Brian De Palma opening because you've got young women in a state of undress.
Oh, he's such a perv.
Oh yeah, I think at least four Brian De Palma films off the top of my head that begin with naked young women. You've got Blowout, Dress to Kill, Body Double, Carrie, and probably I haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
But you know, God bless the man. He hasn't been Me Too'd. He's not problematic that we know of. He just be liking some titties, I guess.
I mean, I can attest to that too.
I mean, I have no problem with titties, so
no,
I think it's the first time
I like them so much I grew them.
I think that's the first time we ever used that word on here.
You're welcome.
Like I have like family that watches that listen to these, so I don't want to.
I mean, they're an essential part of life.
So. I mean, they are. I didn't mean to like drop a T-bomb.
No, it's all good. I mean, you think that's bad? This reader text messages back and forth. It gets interesting.
Oh my god. Okay.
But yeah,
what I was
about
saying,
this movie.
Perfectly paced. It's very it kind of feels meticulously constructed. Like each scene of this movie is done with purpose, whereas you've got some more meandering moments in Dress to Kill that don't really add up to the narrative. Like the ending of the movie, like we were talking about, for instance, kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say one of my favorite shots in the movie is in the beginning when Travolta's in the hospital. And it's kind of like that shot of the side of his face, like real close up. And then Mick Ryan's friend or colleague is calling to him. And then Travolta like turns his head to look at him. I thought that was a really kind of cool, kind of like camera setup to where you can like kind of get into Travolta's head a little bit. He's kind of real freaked out at this moment.
I mean, speaking of Travolta, like I think this is maybe his best performance that he's ever
Ooh,
done on screen.
yeah, it's up there.
It's
It's up there.
so good. He's so great in this movie
Mhm.
as a man who is simply seeking the truth. And every time he seeks the truth, it swallows him up and the system destroys him. It
Well,
happened in his backstory
mm.
and it's happening to him again.
Oh, I forgot about the backstory about the wiretapping.
Yeah, because he was trying to do the
Mm.
right thing. And when he did, both he and the person he was working with were crushed by it. The
Mm.
person he was working with was killed, and he was left to pick up the pieces. And
Mm.
then it happens to him again in this sense. He's not working with the police in an official
Right.
capacity. He's just trying to do the right thing because he
Yeah.
believes in it.
Well,
I
that's
mean, you don't get a lot of like truly good characters
mm.
in this era of cinema,
Mm.
in this type of movie, at least, like a crime movie and a thriller or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like a truly good person.
Yeah. And I do.
And the world just kills him.
Yeah, for sure. And I do like how De Palma kind of um was kind of explaining or putting together Travolta's backstory with the different occupations that he had. It's all
Yeah.
satirizing.
Yeah.
So like right off the bat, you're like before he started working in movies, this guy has been interested in sound. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, why did he keep wanting to go in that kind of career path? Like, what about sound like intrigues this character?
Yeah.
I thought that was real interesting.
Hmm.
Um,
Travolta has done so many bad films that sometimes
Yeah.
you need to rewatch one of his classics to remember what a good actor this guy really is.
mm,
Like
Hmm.
this, Pulp Fiction, Saturday Night Fever, great movies, great performances. But yeah, I think I agree with Jackson. I think this is Travolta's best work.
yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. And that's the thing when what you were saying, Jackson, about for this kind of movie, a character that's a good character was different because at this point in the 70s, when we're still like in Vietnam
Hmm.
and you had Watergate. So the people were very like cynical about the government.
Right.
And so characters reflected that. Like
Yeah.
Dirty Harry Callahan, Popeye Doyle from French Connection, Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver. And um it's interesting to see. I didn't even think about that at all when you
Hmm.
said that he's just a morally good character. Like he's not he didn't try to do like bad things for in his mind a good purpose.
No, never in the whole movie. Like, he doesn't try to take advantage of Nancy
Mm.
Allen. He doesn't try to he straight up tells the cops and the government and the reporters, he's like, I'm not going to compromise on this. I
Mm.
know what happened.
Right.
And he spends the whole movie trying to expose the truth of what
Mm.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was very interesting, and I think that's why Star Wars was such a big hit because we needed a movie like that,
sure.
like a fun movie. And that's
Well,
why I think,
Jaws before that.
oh yeah, for sure, but that's like a horror movie. That's not like a necessarily like an upbeat. I mean, there's some fun moments in
It's
Jaws.
like it's a very fun. I mean, it has some really dark moments, but it's a very fun summer. It kind of invented the summer blockbuster.
Right.
Oh yeah, but I just meant Star Wars is like full on like Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah, Star
Like,
Wars is just escapist goodness that you
mm.
really can't resist.
Yeah, it's only until like Empire where like that shit gets like real dark.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
Empire stepped it up a little there, but then the prequel trilogy, you've got Revenge of the Sith,
Mm.
really goes balls out with the darkness there.
Hmm.
That's like the darkest chapter of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I think I think the Rise of Skywalker would give it a run for its money.
Don't get me started on that. Like,
We don't have to get started on it.
yeah. Well, I just think it's awesome. I'll just say this. I think it's awesome the whole time Emperor Palpatine is ruling the galaxy Hitler style. He was getting busy. Like
Okay.
Tex. I'm like, good
Great.
good for you, Palpatine. And I don't mean
Okay.
that sarcastically. I mean that in the most sincere way possible. Like, good for you, man. In your old age.
All right. So we had some mixed feelings on Nancy Allen in the last movie. What do we think of Nancy Allen in this movie?
I think she's slightly better.
I like her in both movies. I don't. I mean, she's not the type of person you would throw an Oscar at, but
Right.
I think she's a serviceable, decent actress.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's
I think
charismatic.
I think she's so much better in this movie than in Dress to Kill.
It just seemed like a more sincere character, and
well, I think it's also because she's kind of doing a character, like she's putting on more of an accent, and it just, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more real to me.
Right.
Maybe because it's a little bit more fake, because she's obviously, like I said, doing an accent in this whole thing. Like, even in the credits, it's like Nancy Allen's costumes were designed by this person.
Right.
It's a separate credit from costumes. But I don't know. It's weird that this is when she was married to Brian De Palma.
Really?
Yeah. They were married, and he kept like casting her as sex workers. I don't know.
I'm sorry,
that's a little weird.
She was good, but the best sex worker in a movie of that time period for me has got to be Susan Hubley in Paul Schrader's Hardcore.
Sure. Agreed. That movie's amazing.
Love Hardcore.
Yeah.
Very Catholic guilt, very Schrader.
Okay, so it's not Catholic guilt, it's Calvinist guilt.
Calvinist guilt, you're right. Yes. I knew that, but I was thinking
it's okay. I grew up somewhat a Calvinist, so.
But yeah, no, I listened to him though on the Mark Maron podcast, and he was kind of talking a little bit of smack about Hardcore. It's not one of his favorites of his own work. Specifically, he doesn't like the ending and Susan Hubley's performance, and those are literally my two favorite things about the movie.
I think the ending of that movie is amazing because it perfectly illustrates the principles of Calvinism.
To me, like, that's such a bleak ending. He got his daughter back. He learned nothing. He didn't change. There's no like redemption arc for George C. Scott in Hardcore. He just got his daughter back.
Okay, this is not a review of Hardcore, but let me just add a little bit more to that. Like, that's Calvinism. You know, George C. Scott chooses who he will save and chooses who he will abandon to hellish existence. That's sort of how Calvinism works. So, ooh, yuck. Yeah. Anyway, back to Blowout.
What do you guys think of John Lithgow in this movie?
Oh, he's great.
Oh,
he's such a creepy villain, and he went on to basically play the same character in Dexter many years later.
Yeah, I kept thinking it was James Spader. He looks a lot like James Spader in this movie.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I can see that.
And I like how he keeps going after the wrong girl too.
Well, he starts by going after the wrong girl. Then he realizes it's the wrong girl. Then he makes up a whole other thing. He's like, oh, I'm just going to create a series of sex murders and keep going after the wrong
way. I mean, that's a smart idea.
It's pretty smart. It's really thinking on his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. My second, this character, Burke, my second favorite villain played by John Lithgow.
Who's the first?
Lord Farquaad.
Oh, obviously.
Oh. Okay.
Well, in fact, you can't catch me because I'm a gingerbread man.
Okay.
Love Shrek.
I keep forgetting I'm with younger people right now, so.
I remember specifically when Shrek came out and what a big deal it was.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. I was
Um,
like 18 when it came out. So
but yeah, well, that whole thing with them keep killing the wrong girl, like it's very Terminator. Like him
oh
going
sure.
after the different Sarah Connors,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
eventually finds
I see
Sarah
that.
Connor or the one he's looking for. Yeah, I need to watch this movie again for sure. Like this is going on, like the Criterion Blu-ray. It's going on my birthday list because
It
this movie is
actually,
It's
phenomenal.
it's amazing.
it's a
It's a
great movie.
really amazing movie.
It has his first the Criterion has his first film, Murder a la Mode, which I
Oh,
have not
awesome.
yet watched, but it's kind of an obscure De Palma from the 60s, and it's a bonus feature on the Blu-ray.
Which apparently is one of the movies that Dennis Franz is watching during this movie. Because you
Interesting.
see him watching TV a couple
Yeah,
times, and when he's watching a movie, it's that one.
I didn't know that, but that makes sense now why it's specifically a bonus feature on this Blu-ray.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was supposed to be, I read, it was supposed to be Dementia 13 by Francis Ford Coppola,
Oh,
Oh
but
yeah.
Roger Corman owned that movie and he wanted too much money.
mm.
So Brian De Palma's like, fine, I'll put my own movie in there.
Yeah, I think just watched them into 13 a couple of years
I've
ago.
never seen it. Mm,
It's good. It's good.
okay.
Was that Coppola's debut?
It might have been.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Because that was when he was working for Roger
Mm.
Corman. So
Yeah, I was with my
all
dad.
these guys, they came up working for Roger Corman. It's crazy.
Yeah, James Cameron's that other guy.
Joe Dante, yeah.
Yeah.
Scorsese made movies with
Yeah,
Roger Corman.
Rockstar Bertha.
Mm.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson worked with Roger Corman. Yeah, they all did
Well, that's a
at some
funny
point.
story because they did The Raven together with Jack Nicholson, and then they got done
Hmm.
early with that movie, and then they decided to make The Terror, which is hilarious. But no, yeah, I was with my dad one time a couple of years ago. We were shopping at Walmart, and we're in the entertainment section, and I just saw Ultimate to 13 just sits it's on the shelf. I'm like, oh, I'm getting this. I gotta
Oh
get
yeah,
a couple of those first
that
movies.
the Vestron Blu-ray release.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've seen some of their stuff at Walmart before. Even
Mm.
Walmart now has some kind of the boutique Blu-rays. That's practically the only movies you can find in stores anymore are new releases
Yeah,
and
it's the
the
same.
boutique stuff.
Yeah, I really honestly think it's not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. I think it's gonna be very niche. Like it's gonna be like here's what I think they should do. All these studios do what the Warner Archive did, where you only put out a copy of a movie if someone submits an order. So if 100 people submit an order, then they make 100 copies.
Hmm.
That's the best way to do that with any movie, old or new.
I just want to see people wake up and realize that these streaming companies are just stringing us along. It's like a scam at this point,
Yeah.
and we were lied to that it was better and cheaper than cable. It's neither of those things. And I mean, some of the streaming services are awesome, like Criterion Channel, Movie is great, but like we need a return to physical media for sure
Mm.
because it's the only way to truly own anything.
Yeah, for sure.
And with things being deleted now forever,
Mm.
really, I mean, the stuff that was on HBO that's like, unless somebody pirated it,
Mm.
it's lost media now. That's insane.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I hate that. Yeah, Disney started doing that. Apparently we got another round of that recently, or we're gonna get another round of that. It just sucks, man.
We're never gonna get to see, or it's never gonna exist anymore. Coyote versus Acme. That
Yeah,
sucks so much.
at least not on under Warner Brothers. Somebody else might pick it up, hopefully.
Um, I heard that the talks of that kind of fell through, and they're probably, I think it was Will Forte said they're probably gonna end up deleting it.
He's freaking Warner Brothers. That's why I didn't go see Dune 2, and I'm not gonna go see Godzilla plus Kong because of that reason. I think I'm not gonna support them if they're gonna do that crap.
I mean, they're an evil company for sure, but I still have to. I just haven't gotten to Dune 2 yet. I definitely want to see it.
Yeah. I know you're happy about that, Jackson, because I know you love Dune 1.
I don't like that movie.
I know I was being sarcastic. It's fine. Is there anything else you want to talk about this movie?
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah,
I don't know. I never know until I hear this back tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. Well, this is one of those movies you have to watch over and over again and get every little detail because you're bringing up stuff, Jackson, that I didn't realize. Like the whole, like, John Lithgow have to revert to, like, his methods where he's just killing, like, prostitutes.
Yeah.
Instead of going after that one particular one. I thought that was interesting. I do like the part right before the car crash when he's outside recording sound. That whole sound design was
It's
really,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
the way he kind of captures like the feeling of being outside alone at night, and that little bit with the owl, that was like a perfect bit right there.
Drew, have you seen The Conversation?
No, I need to.
If you love this movie, you'll love that one.
Yeah,
it's very similar in tone and feel. Yeah.
Well,
not style, but that's because it's Coppola versus De Palma. De Palma is way more like, here's a crazy angle, here's a movement. Right. Coppola is way more controlled, but
more restrained for sure. But
yeah,
a great conspiracy thriller for sure.
Right, and it also has to do with sound surveillance.
Yeah. Came out the same year as Godfather Part 2.
Oh, nice!
What a great year!
No, year before. They're consecutive years.
I thought it was 70. They're both 74.
No, sure? I think it was Godfather 1 is 72, Conversation 73, then Godfather 2 is 74.
Says 74.
Okay, I might be wrong about that.
Maybe,
but
yeah.
Yeah. But they were all three in a row for him.
Yeah. And then Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
What a 70s. What a 1970s. What a run for any director in history. I mean,
if anybody won the 70s, it was Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
And then of course he bashed comic book movies, which I totally disagree with.
Whatever. They all do that. They're,
Yeah. Well, he was, at least Scorsese was fair with that. With his opinion, like Coppola was just being a big dickhead on it.
Scorsese and Coppola, they're talked about in the same breath a lot because they both made gangster movies, but they're very different personalities.
Yeah, it seems like Scorsese's a bit more level-headed.
Scorsese, when he criticizes comic book movies, I don't necessarily agree with him, but I feel like he's coming from a place of genuine love and respect for cinema as an art. And Coppola, and he's a genius director too, but he sounds more like a cranky old man who doesn't get it.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. Yeah.
He's more the get off my lawn type.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about it is like there's all kinds of good cinema out there,
Right.
I like what Ethan Hawke said. Like, I just like good movies, like art movies. Like, you can get that with a drama, or you can get that with a horror movie. You can get that with a comic book movie.
Yeah, and guess who was in a Marvel show? Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. Guess who was in horror movies?
Ethan Hawke. Wasn't a good Marvel show, but it was a Marvel show.
Yeah.
Which one?
Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, I started watching that, and then
it's not very good, but he's good in it. I love Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
I really want to see his new movie.
What's the new one?
I can't remember the title, but his daughter Maya is playing Flannery O'Connor.
Oh yeah, I love her. She's great.
Yeah, that sounds like a good movie. That sounds right up my alley. Yeah,
pretty talented musician too. She did a folk album, I think, 2 years ago that was really good.
Okay.
But anyways, Jackson, you want to do your favorite part and least favorite part?
Okay. So favorite part, I've got to say the car chase through Philadelphia. We haven't even talked about it.
Oh
But
yeah, I forgot
what
about
an
that.
amazing sequence.
That is
Like,
And he's
because
like,
that's real Philadelphia. They really drove that car through the
yeah,
old,
and he's
you
weaving in
know,
and out of
courthouse
citizens.
and stuff. It's amazing. I love Philly. That's a city that is near and dear to me. But like just watching them, and apparently there were reshoots involved in that because a reel of the film got stolen.
Oh wow.
wow.
Yeah. And so like the scenes where he's actually going through the parade,
Mm.
that's all reshoots, but
Oh,
you know,
interesting.
you'd never know. But that scene, that to me rivals the car chase in French Connection
Yeah, I would say
for
so.
being just like visceral and awesome. Yeah. Least favorite part, you know, I don't really have one. This movie's pretty fucking great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, fair man.
I don't have a least favorite part either. It's a perfect film.
Yeah, me either. What is your favorite part, Emma?
The whole like the whole climax of the film, the very patriotic parades like
Mm.
sequence, her murder, and then the final scene, the kicker, the use of her scream being the
Mm.
perfect scream for the
Oh
movie
yeah.
that solves the problem from the beginning of the film. It's
Mm.
so morbid, it's so fucked up. One of the best endings in cinema history.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, my favorite part's the ending. It really hits you hard. Like it's very somber.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's up there with Godfather Part 2 as far as like really dark endings. Um, and then I guess rating because we don't have none of us have a least favorite part. What
Five,
was you what would you rate this movie, Emma?
five.
Yeah, 5. Eric. I mean, not Eric Jackson.
Eric? Really? I'm going to be texting Eric about this later.
You better not.
I would go 4.5, not because of any flaw with the movie, but just because I reserve my 5s for stuff that like really gets to me at the core of my soul. And this is a movie that like
Yeah.
gets to me at the core of my cinema brain
Mhm.
more than anything else. So 4.5.
Yeah, that's fair. Uh, I'm gonna go 5. Like this is an amazing movie.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, guys. Thanks for being on this De Palma video or episode. I keep calling them videos. We used to do these as videos. Um, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was a blast. This is my first podcast appearance. Thanks
Mm.
for having me.
Yep, for sure. And as always, guys, if you like this episode and you want to see more spooky and weird content, make sure you slap that subscribe button. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Horror Sci-Fi Beyond. And also, don't forget to leave this episode a killer comment and to give it a King Kong size thumbs up. And as always, guys, stay weird.